A lot of you guys are struggling with a lot of difficult things in life. A lot of things that keep you from propelling in other aspects of your life. What I mean is the mental game. A lot of you guys struggle mentally with keeping your own thoughts in check. That's a very common problem. Most people really just can't seem to get a grip of their own mind, which is really the one thing that you truly do have control over, if anything. You don't necessarily have total control over your health. You don't necessarily have total control over your business, your finance, your family, etc. But what you do have is what's in between your ears, is your mind. And if you can't control that, then what can you really control? This is the hardest thing for most people to get a grip on because there's tens of thousands of thoughts a day that are going through our heads. And sometimes when one sticks, one spirals. And it's really easy to get caught in a cycle, a vicious one that leads you to being, in a sense, useless. It's a difficult and narrow path. The path of mastering one's own mind is so complex. It goes into understanding every thought that you have and why you have it. It goes into the understanding of who you are and why you are the way you are. It goes into the reflection of everything that you've ever went through in your life. It goes through thousands of hours of reflection, study of yourself. And it goes through thousands of hours of figuring out who you want to be, who you actually would admire in yourself. And then once you've spent all this time reflecting on the past, pondering for the future, then you make the decision of the direction that you want to go. And that in itself is its own quite arduous process. And from there, then you have to go through the real work, which is actually implementing the changes that you've decided to make. See, once you've made the decision, it doesn't make any sense to start if you plan on going back at all. So it's hard. It comes to working on every single thought that comes into your brain, every single feeling that comes into your body, and learning how to dissect and analyze everything and choose how you want to view it, interpret it, and react based on it / respond. See, it's very complex and it's very time consuming. But I can tell you it's one of the most worthwhile things you could ever do in your life. For me, for example, anything comes up, my first choice is to decide, not to react nor respond. I always like to look at things and think objectively what is going to happen based on what's currently happening outside of my control, and I like to determine what the options are from those external factors. Of those external factors, I like to think, okay, say there's option A, B, and C. Say there's a fire. What is consequence A, consequence B, consequence C? After that, I like to think of all those consequences, which is the one that I would like to be the most desirable end outcome. And then I decide. So let's say it's option B. So I rule out what option A and C's reactions to lead to those consequences would have been. And then I am left with something more simple. I have one option of the path I want to end up at. And essentially, it's just about rewiring from there. Here's the goal. How do I get there? It's the same thing as putting in directions in the map. When you put in your map to go to an address, you know the destination, but you just don't know how to get there. So the map works backwards and it gives you the directions to get there. I think the same is to be said about life and to your thoughts. So figure out what outcome you want in every thought, in every situation, every friendship, every relationship, every action. And then work backwards to make sure that you're taking the right action steps to go forward in the path that you would like to be going forward on. You see, most of us are stuck on responding and reacting without truly knowing the consequences of our decisions. And we end up with lives by response and reaction, not by default design. Personally, I would rather have a life of design. There's certain things that I want. As you can see behind me, I have dozens of books, and even in the top corner, I have a vision board. I have many things that I have dreamed of and that I want to achieve in this life. And without having a quality roadmap that I've thought long and hard and arduously about, there's no way for me to end up at those endpoints. The only way is to know the end goal and work backwards. And if I can cite a place where I actually started learning this from, interesting enough, was construction. I was working a construction project in a city called Cotati, or a town called Cotati in Northern California. And I was working for an incredible boss, a contractor that I respect and admire deeply, who took care of me very well. I had told this boss that I had dreams of excelling in the company at the time, and eventually, of course, starting my own or running my own. And at this time, I had just asked, hey, I would love to be able to start helping out with the estimate process. And I want to start doing more than what I'm currently doing. And I said I wanted to do it for free. I just wanted to learn and be of more value. So once I had decided this, I tried a couple jobs and they went pretty good. The estimating went well. And then there was one project where it didn't go as well. And the contractor pretty much broke even. Maybe even lost a little bit of money, not substantial, not enough to really even be upset about necessarily, because at the time I was a 20-year-old kid, and so I think I'd made him quite a bit of money before that, so it was okay. Anyways, that's irrelevant. Essentially, he gave me this one beautiful piece of advice. The piece of advice was, the only way you make sure you don't miss a step in a construction remodeling project is to first look at the end project goal. What does it look like in the end? And work backwards. He said, often when you're thinking, it's very easy when you're thinking forward to skip steps, to think, okay, first we have the foundation, then we have the framing, then we have the drywall, before the drywall, we have electrical, we have plumbing, we have HVAC, then we have the drywall, the painting, and the crown moldings. But you see, if you think about it like that, you've already missed a dozen steps. For example, where are you going to put that? Where the towel bar is going to be hung. You need to put extra framing behind the walls so that they have something secure to screw into, or else they'll be using anchors. These are just things that take you from this level to another level, and it stuck with me. So after that particular discussion I had with my boss, I never did a job or a task or a goal the same again. Instead of, I'm just going to do this and this and this and this and move forward, I always just went straight to the end goal and worked backwards. And by doing so, I never missed a step, because it's easier to pull things out of these beautiful plans, thoughts, ideas, and even jobs, and pick apart, there's a light fixture here. Okay, so what do I need to do to make sure that that light fixture goes there correctly? See, it's much easier when you have the full picture in mind. So think of life that way, and think of every action, every task the same. And I guarantee you, your life will be beautiful. And it'll be exactly what you want. And it's going to take time, and it's not an overnight thing. I've been working on this for years. Since I was 13, I decided to change and grow and be something extraordinary. Even when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, in some ways I was. In some ways I wasn't. And now at 24, in many ways I am, and in many ways I'm not. And I'm still working and I'm still growing. But who you see here and the thought process that you have in front of you has over a decade in the making. Since I was 13, I started studying the mind, the body, books, business, finance, fitness, everything. And I'm still studying every day. And the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know anything. And so it's a beautiful process. It's a beautiful journey. And as you embark on this, I'll be here with you. And I hope to share a lot of beautiful wisdom and help you grow alongside me. And I'm excited for what the future holds. And I'm excited for what the future holds for you.